When you're interviewing for a new role, ideally, you want the hiring team to think, this is a great candidate, and if we hire them, they're going to do great things for our organization and help us achieve our goals. What you don't want them thinking is that hiring this person could be dangerous. This candidate represents risk. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to avoid being perceived as a dangerous and risky candidate by the hiring team. Let's go. Now, 75% of employers have admitted that they have, at some point, made a wrong hire. And when you hire the wrong person and you have to fire that person, ultimately, on average, it ends up costing the organization $19,000. And beyond these stats, there are a lot of reasons why you want to avoid making a bad hire. And for all of these reasons, hiring people is an exercise in risk mitigation. Yes, of course you want to hire someone amazing, but it's also important that you limit your risk so you don't make a poor hire that could hurt your company, both in terms of a team camaraderie standpoint and of course financially. Now, I've been in recruitment for about 15 years, and I can tell you that part of my job is to assess the risk of a given candidate. And it is important for you as a candidate to make sure you're not perceived as a risky hire. Because at the end of the day, hiring managers do want to go with a safe hire, a person who they feel has a high probability of being a great teammate, good hire, can do the job, qualified, effective, etc. There are three major things you need to avoid if you want to avoid being perceived as a risky candidate. So I'm going to get into each one of those three now and then tell you exactly what you want to do if you want to avoid being perceived as risky. Now, the first thing you want to do if you want to be perceived as not dangerous, or not a dangerous hire, not a risky hire, is you need to prove your qualifications for the role. The last thing a hiring manager wants to do is hire someone who is not capable of doing the job. So how do you make sure they don't perceive you as someone who is unqualified for the role? Well, you want to make sure, one, you have great stories. You are prepared to tell them about things you have done in previous roles that you will need to be doing in this role, right? Two, you need to be able to speak to the job alignment. You need to understand the job description, what the requirements are, what the qualifications are, and be able to speak to the fact that you have done those things in the past and you meet the requirements. Three, you want to have hero stories. Hero stories are stories of things you have accomplished in past roles that you're hoping to be able to share in an interview. They're big accomplishments that you're just sitting there hoping. As a candidate, you will get the opportunity to share them in the interview because it puts you in a positive light. It shows them how impactful you can be as a candidate and if they hire you for their team. And lastly, you want to make sure you can quantify your impact. Quantifying your impact is basically letting them know what impact you have made in prior roles. This allows hiring managers to imagine what you might be able to do for their team. So instead of saying, I increased sales in my first year at my last job, you would say something along the lines of, I increased sales in the first 12 months in my last job by X% by doing blank, which ended up generating $500K in additional revenue. What I basically did there was, instead of just saying, hey, I did something, I articulated it at a greater depth and showed them specifically what the impact was. That's called quantifying your impact. And if you're able to quantify your impact of what you've done in previous roles, you're going to help them understand that you are indeed qualified. Now, the next thing you want to do, if you want to avoid being perceived as a dangerous hire, is you want to articulate that you are a good teammate. Every single hiring manager has a concern when they hire a person. Are they going to fit in well for the team? Are they going to be a good team player? Are they going to disrupt the ecosystem I have worked so hard to establish as a team leader? So you want to make sure that they look at you and go, this person would fit in well with the team. Now, how do you go about achieving that? Well, one, I think it's really important to talk about how you have benefited from working with others in past roles. This shows that you value team conceptually. You understand that being a part of the team is a good thing. Two, you want to avoid negative talk. Don't talk negatively about any of your former teammates, any of your former bosses, any of your former organizations. This makes them think that you would be risky because you might come in and be a negative person in the organization. And then lastly, you want to talk about how you've enjoyed being part of a team. As you're talking through your stories, as you're answering their questions, if occasionally you can weave in there that you did some of the work as part of a team and you really enjoyed this, this will give them the perception that you're going to be a good teammate and you won't be risky in that regard. Now, the next thing you need to do if you want to be perceived as not a dangerous hire, not risky, is you want to let them know that wherever you go next, whatever role you accept next, you want to be there for a while. No hiring manager wants to fill a position just to have to fill that exact same position in the near future. That's why people are afraid of job hoppers, right? When you have an open role, that is a problem. And when you solve a problem, you don't want to have to solve that problem again soon. So how do you go about doing that? Well, you want to talk to your passion for the role, your passion for the industry, and specifically say things like, I'm looking for a place where I can settle down and grow my career. I'm looking for a place where I can accept a job and grow as part of a team and be there for a long time. These little things seem small, but they go a long way. I have heard many a hiring manager in my day say, in the interview, they told me they're looking to be at a place for a long time. And I like that because I don't want to have to worry about replacing them. And it seems like a very small thing, but it truly does matter to hiring managers. So you want to make sure you say that. Now, if you do these things and you interview well and you're qualified, it's likely you might get a job offer. And if you're going to get a job offer, you want to make sure you avoid saying things that could cost you money. So I made this video here. This video here is 7 things you never want to say during salary negotiation. So I am done here, but I'll see you over there.